And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this other surprise stream. You could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, or anywhere in the space. And I really appreciate you coming to from a galaxy far, far away. And I was supposed to go live a little bit earlier, but because of the situation with the internet being reconstructed, it was being put together and loading. Here we are. So now we're here. So basically, now what I will do is we'll be switching over to the other screen. We'll be talking about a variety of different things tonight. All right. So we're gonna be switching over. All right. Hello, everybody. It's me, Alien Spaceship. I hope everybody's been having a nice Wednesday, and it will be. It's raining where I am. I like the rain, but still, some people have different feelings about it. So what I'll be doing now is doing the game for a little bit, and then we'll get into the other topics. All right, so here we go. And I talk about stuff while I play the game at the same time. All right, now it's launching. Okay, let's see how it goes with the game. Anyway, so yeah, we learned some interesting stuff yesterday from Liberty and the different viewers. Also, I was learning some things from random people on YouTube. Also, that was also nice. So now I'll show the game as I usually always do. We're gonna go here. All right. Okay. Did it switch over? It switched over. Okay, we are set to go. I am talking like an alien, but I need to talk so the Earthlings can understand me. All right, here we go. All right. It looks like. Hey, DJ buddy, good to see you. Welcome. So, looks like Port Royal is going to be under attack by Jolly Rogers. The alien train. Yeah, definitely. I hope you've been doing good, DJ. It's nice to. I've been seeing you again on the streams. I'm glad to see you back. And I've seen you the past couple of times, but I'm glad that it's good to see you again. So, something interesting that happened was we're getting the new internet set up, and it wouldn't for an hour or two. It wouldn't work, but I realized it was configuring the different extenders were configuring with each other, and to my surprise, it worked, and here we are. So I would have been live a little bit earlier, but it is what it is. Yeah. So, because I remember I was talking to with my grandpa, we were talking to Cox about the internet speed increasing to potentially cause a situation where it would not have the problems that it has sometimes, and we'll see how this goes. It's upgraded, and because Latina would tell me about it being upgraded, and she was right. She was right about that. And there is an extra extender to add also connected to the router itself. And DJ says the internet problems are bogus, man. I hate dealing with those. Oh yeah, definitely, because the internet is a way to help us all being connected together. I'd say the internet is like trains, railroads. And if you have a railroad that's not working or having a problem, you can't get to where you have to go. So I think that it is extremely tedious when it doesn't work. It's something we all go through. It's a path a journey we all share. And as I said, it is thundering and lightning, and it is doing its thing. So we are now just hanging out here. Yeah, so I had a good time. I saw some trials today. Well, they have a new one up. And this guy allegedly deleted a 19-year-old girl. It's creepy, and he seems quite guilty. And they're going over it today. And I saw Karen Reed for a moment, but I didn't really focus much on it. And as I said, the internet thing was something I mainly was focused on today, and I was kind of got there later because I was like, one night I stayed up until like 8 in the morning. Not last night; it was 6. But other night I stayed up until 8, and I remember. So I was talking to these people in some other chat about philosophical conversation about God and Jesus. So it was one person believes in God but doesn't necessarily believe in the Jesus version, and I gave my stance on it, and other people agreed with me, and it was respectful. It was fine. Then they had some trolls, and then the two trolls started trolling each other, but it was light. It was light stuff, and no one really took anything personally. And then the person was calling me kind of like arrogant and have an ego and stuff, and I just was like playing along with it and making jokes about it. Then at the end, dude like completely just snapped out of it and was like telling me about the cryptids with the skunk ape and the other one, the mysterious helper. And that was interesting to learn about that, and like the sun's coming up and this is going on. Then we start making jokes about Bigfoot and the skunk ape. Yeah, so I could have some really wild experiences with the people on YouTube. It's these chat rooms. Chat rooms are a lot of stories can come from them. And DJ, I saw the cat, the orange cat that you like, that I made a short about a little like last year. And the cat is still in heaven. It's in a heavenly state still, laid out on the bed and just enjoying himself. So at some point I want to do a little live with him to show y'all that cat, because I showed y'all Bubbles, and I got to do another one with the cats in the back, so that'll be something to look forward to. Yeah. And then I kind of like spend some time going over some things, spending time with the other cat. And while I was getting the internet ready, sometime with family at the same time, and I just was like, I didn't know, it's like, it's kind of suspenseful. Internet can be suspenseful sometimes. That's what I felt with because with it's like it's not working. Everything should be connected right. It should work, but it's not acknowledging itself. Then I went over to the thing, and it was like orange, then red, then orange. It's like, I don't know. It just, I think what was going on, the two extenders are like two different computers or like some AI machine. It's the equivalent of that. So it has its own mind, and it's trying to connect with the Wi-Fi. And the way it communicates, you could see it has like little beeping lights. So that's how these machines communicate with each other. So it took about an hour or two for the machines to agree on the new internet. So it was just interesting. So it was having conversations with itself, the different devices. They were chatting and getting to know each other, and now we're here. All right, DJ says, I've been trying to give a neighborhood cat some treats. That way he'll hang out in the backyard and maybe catch some rats. Aw, that's awesome. Yeah, cats are very good at catching rats. So I'll see the cat outside, Pootie, or Bubbles' brother, basically will go, and I'll see a big fat rat in its mouth. It's like bigger than the cat. And it's good that they catch the rats and the mice. And they just find them out of nowhere. It's like all the mice and the rats are just lurking, and they know right where to catch them. Now, there are some rats in the garage. Now, the garage isn't like a regular garage. It's a giant warehouse-looking thing. And it has like cobwebs. It's very old. It was built a very long time ago. And all right, it went out for a moment, I think, but I think okay. So what happened was, for some reason, it went out. It went out for a second. But I think we're back now. Okay, so let's see if it's really true. All right, so it is true. We are back. Okay. I'll repeat what I said. I'm not too sure at what point it went out. All right, should be trying to come back now, but I do not know for sure how this will work. Let's do this real quick. Oh, wrong screen. Here we go. I was on the wrong screen. Okay, so hopefully I'm coming back through, and if it just goes out, I'll just acknowledge that, and is what it is. Okay, so going to I am here. I'm going to have to probably change the chat window because I don't see any updating chats. All right, I'm going to go here. Go to the dashboard. Let's see. And then we have the internet. No, we have not the internet, but we have the thumbnail. It's not right. Thumbnail's not right. So we have to give it a thumbnail. All right. I'll be back with y'all in a moment if I'm still live. Which I think I'm still there. There's a storm going on that could be causing this. All right. So now we're going to go there. And then see what the chat is doing. Okay. Alright, pop it out. Okay. Alrighty. Here we go. So. Okay, hello there. Hello, Frog. It's good to see you, buddy. So, basically, it's not so I'm testing out the new internet. It seemed like it had a problem for a moment with there's a storm going on. It could be affecting it. I don't know what it was, but as I said, so what I'm going to do now to resist any possible issues, we're just going to go to the thing and read the information that I was going to read. All right, so I'm going over here, and well, I'm still going to talk to y'all. I'm just going to get something. We're kind of talking the other day in Arlington. Oh, hello, Moki. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. All right, so basically, I was playing the game for a moment, and it was kind of not agreeing with it too much because of the storm, so I'm just going into the other stuff. All right, so it's great to see you, Moki, and I was playing the game for a moment, but I'm going to be reading about the Arlington National Cemetery, but as I said, we can still talk about whatever else. All right, so hello, Anna. It's good to see you. I meant to go live a little bit earlier, but we got the new internet thing, and it took a very long time for the different extenders to communicate and get the thing connected. So that is something we were doing, and as I said, there's a storm. Come on. Oh, so as I said, Anna, welcome. I'm glad that you are here. All right. And Moki, what are your thoughts on the new trial that we're watching? If you have any opinions about it, I'd like to know. I saw Karen Reed for a moment, but I went for a little bit, and I was going over to the other stream where the other people were at. So that was it was really nice to see everybody back together and getting along. Yeah, Timu weather. Moki like tobacco sauce. Yeah. Okay, I'm being a little bit uh, dyslexic there for a moment, or I wasn't really paying attention to what I was reading. Tabasco sauce, not tobacco sauce. Goofy alien. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, Tabasco sauce. I have some right here. Actually, I have some right here. I'll take it out the box. And I'm glad you got your notifications. I went. I was supposed to go live a little bit earlier, but I didn't even think the internet was going to work. But it worked. To my surprise, I was shocked. All right. Yeah. So this is the Tabasco Scorpion sauce. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just showing y'all something cool. I highly recommend it. That is what Frog was like earlier. And Moki says, I find the new trial interesting, more interesting than the stabbing trial. I like that they are moving along. Yeah, because when a trial remains stagnant, it's kind of like you got to keep moving. I want to say hello, TJ. Good to see you. So I think remaining stagnant can cause issues a lot of times, but moving along is nice. Oh, hello, Cecil. Good to see you, buddy. All right. I was playing the game for a few moments, and I don't know, it could be the weather or something. It wasn't agreeing with it. But what happened earlier was so around when I left the trial chat. Oh, hello, Tasman. It's great to see you, buddy. Oh, free cocktails. That is true. There is free cocktails. And Moki and Shaq can have all they want. Oh, it's great to see you, Tasman. I'm glad that you're here with us. Oh, hello, Aaron. Lori starting next week. We're back in business. Oh, yeah, that is good that we're back in business for that, Aaron. So we're going to all be roasting Lori again. I'm glad for that, and we're going to deal with another Timu trial. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be... I want to tell you all what happened. So I was at the the trial chat when I left earlier today. That's when the Wi-Fi was being reconstructed because I was getting one that would be faster speed. Because we talked to Cox about it, and we get something that's faster speed. So to try to stop the issues that the streams have sometimes. So it took about a couple of hours for the Wi-Fi extenders. There's one that's hooked up to it with Ethernet, and one that's in the other bedroom. So and it comes over here. So there's like my grandparents' place. They're very generous. They got that for me, and it projects over here through like an extender, so it's wirelessly connected to it, which would cause it for y'all to also see me. So we're just kind of seeing how it goes, but also it's storming right now, so during a bright sunny day, it would be interesting to see how it would go. And I'm glad, and it was an honor while the trial famine was happening, during the trial depression was going on, the great trial depression. I enjoyed doing the live streams during the day, and now every day I'm doing live streams in the evening because of y'all. So y'all have although shout out to all the other groups that came here and contributed to the channel. They're great people, and y'all have helped this channel out so much. And in spite of criticisms and some, of people that think we might be clowns, I think y'all are officially the greatest chats on the internet. And also, I appreciate all of you and Moki and I always like Moki's insight on different trials, very funny, and also I appreciate I also appreciate the alien stuff that you show us, and always sticking up for me and defending me, Moki. I appreciate you doing that for me always against the haters. Oh, that's what you all do too. But also a special shout out to Moki as well, and I think she contributes great to our group. The Great Trial Depression of 2025. There you go. And Anna says, "Oh yeah, Panthers tapping and watching now. Oilers may be a little trouble for us. Scared." Congrats again on monetization. Oh, thank you, Tasman, for the congratulations. I really appreciate that of the you tell me that, because it's like I remember when I started the channel when I was and when I let's see when I go and did this when I was it's in 2010. Now we're here monetized. It's a big deal. I didn't even think I'd be a live streamer. I didn't want to do it. It was just something other people suggested, the results of other people's actions. And Moki, that is true. There's not much alien haters. That's true. I remember it's said on YouTube, and it was said when I was in school. Anybody that has something bad to say about me is a really messed up person. So, as I said, I'm not perfect. We're all work in progress. But as I said, it's not many people. Just a couple of clowns here and there. But I appreciate the people that stick up for me, and I want to treat all people with respect and be fair to all people, and I like this channel where everybody from different backgrounds can have debates or talk about anything. It could be heated, but at the end of the day, I'm glad that y'all stay as one unit. So anyway, so with Karen Reed, it's just the same clown show that was going on, and I saw Mikey B. We were concerned about him, but as I said, he subscribed to the channel. He somewhere, he has a cute cat picture that's up. And he did not mind that I was a woman. He was just a little bit shocked. He was a little bit shocked about it. But I had a good time with him. And he was, so he was okay. And Moki, I was on some other live streams recently. A couple of, like a night ago. And some random people thought I was a woman. And I'm just like, I'm a dude. Thank you. I'm flattered, but I'm a dude. It happens to me all the time. All right, anyway. So, alien be a cool cat. Will you be dressing up as a police officer and have a cat cam like Damon? Oh. Oh. Shout out to Damon. He's a sweetheart. He really is. And that is something that I probably should do. I probably should do that. And I need the cat cam for Bubbles and get some... I have the alien outfit, but I do need to do that. I think it's a good idea to do what Damon does with the different outfits. That's a good idea. Yeah. So shout out to Damon. He's... yeah, I learned a lot from him about streaming, and yeah, he's very, very smart. Anna says, Tasman, need my new one. This is the old hubby out of town and back. Need him to do it. I can't figure it out, but he was busy unpacking and tried to, so he'll do it soon. I remember that alien was funny. Moki says, happens to me too. That's what happens when you have names like ours. Yeah. And also, I just feel that I have an alien mask in my room, and with like when I have this like in a dark lighting, I think it could look pretty cool. Huh. Why not? I'll see if I could go find the mask. I'll be right back. Why not? The new chat was nice for the most part. Alright, BRB. Here we go. Why not? Making him dress, blame me. Sorry, folks, for making him dress up, blame me. Alright, I tried, but dial bit ear. And what I could have probably done was put the mask on before I walked in here. So, here we go. Shaquille O'Neal got on my nerves, what usually makes him laugh. Oh. Alright. So, here we go. This is a... Let's see, does this still work? Well, let's turn it on. Oh, there we go. Let's make the lighting a little bit darker. A little bit darker. Alright, and see, I'll show you all this. Come on. You're going to have to minimize some windows. Oh, there we go. Okay. Alright, this is an alien mask. I don't even know what I'll be able to see out of it, but here we go. It doesn't really... Oh, there we go. Alright, so that was the alien mask. Alright, so can I breathe under there? Yeah, I can breathe under there. It's a little bit more of... It's more like alien air, but I could breathe in it. It's kind of like wearing one of those, like, big morph costumes. But it's basically... The suit, it's kind of like a suit, but yeah, you can breathe in it. But yeah, so that's the alien mask. I got it from Party City a couple of years ago. Alright, so glad that y'all like the mask. I'll wear it in different streams and stuff, so. Yeah, because I think it would be pretty cool to, you know... I'm glad if I finally wore that on a stream. I've never done that before. Alright, so let's put the windows back up. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great for Halloween, definitely. Scared. Moki said my eyes are blurry from being on my dumb phone all day. What a loser. Yeah, so yeah, shot the frogs. I shot the froggy. Okay. I'm going to read about the Arlington National Cemetery that Cecil brought up. I'm going to read about that right now. And as I said, we can have side conversations about anything we want. We could be the topic may be derailed, so just y'all just it's okay. It's all good. So this is request of Cecil from yesterday. So we're going to go right into it. All right. Arlington National Cemetery is the largest cemetery in the United States. National Cemetery System, one of the two maintained the United States Army. More than 400,000 people are buried in its 639 acres in Arlington County, Virginia. Moki, sure, you could talk about something sensitive. Yes, go for it. Made my son do it. Wash the cake and pan to boot. Nice, nice. Washing her boots. Yep. All right. So I'll be give Moki a moment to tell me something sensitive. I'm all ears. I'm not gonna get mad at you. Go for it. I am an alien from another planet. I think the Earthling affairs are quite fascinating. All right. So, and basically, and also, you see that, and okay, Moki, I understand your position, and for now, that is the position that I'm going to have on that matter. Okay, and I'm not mad about that, but thank you for your request about that. Okay, now I'll be continuing on with the rest of this. Arlington National Cemetery was established on 13 May 1864 during the American Civil War. After Arlington Estate, the land on which the cemetery was built was confiscated by the U.S. federal government from the private ownership of the Confederate States Army General Robert E. Lee's family following a tax dispute over the property. The cemetery is managed by U.S. Department of the Army. As of 2024, it conducts approximately 27 to 30 funerals each weekday, and between 6 to 8 services on Saturday, or 141 to 158 per week. Understood, Moki. Thank you. He could have always have told things to my face. He didn't. I don't want to collaborate with a YouTuber that's doing that. And I'd rather not have that negativity on this channel. But thank you for sticking up for me, and that is the position I have. But thank you, Moki, for your take on it. Okay. In April 2014, Arlington National Cemetery Historic District, including Arlington National Cemetery, Arlington House, Memorial Drive, a Military Women's Memorial, and Arlington Memorial Bridge, was listed on National Register for Historic Places. 19th century. In 1802, George Washington Parke Crusists, the grandson of George Washington's wife, Martha, through her first marriage, began building Arlington House at the present day Arlington National Cemetery on land that inherited from John Park Crusists. His natural father, following his deletion, Crusists went to live at Mount Vernon, where George Washington and Martha raised him as their own son. In 1804, Crusists married Mary Lee Fitzhugh. They had 4 children, but only one, Mary Anna. Ralph Custis survived into adulthood. On 30 June 1831, she married future Confederate States Army General Robert E. Lee. In 1818, Arlington House was completed. Cusitz initially intended the house to serve as a home and memorial to George Washington, his foster father, but Washington was deleted on December 14, 1799. Crusitt will granted a life inheritance of the house of his wife, allowing her to live and run an Arlington House for the rest of her life, but prohibiting her from selling any portion of it. Following his wife's deletion, Arlington House, then known as the Custis Lee Mansion, was passed on her eldest grandson, George Washington Custis Lee. American Civil War. In April 1861, following the Confederate States Army bombing of Fort Sumter, and the Battle of Fort Sumter, and the Union Army's subsequent surrender of the fort of the American Civil War launcher. Civil War was launched, and Virginia prominently succeeded from the Union. On April 15, realizing that Fort Sumter fall left the national capital of Washington, D.C., highly vulnerable to the Confederate attack on the occupation, President Lincoln called for the 75,000 volunteers from around the Union to help defeat it. Exactly, Moki. You gotta keep the. We have to keep the ship going. Yeah, exactly. 5 days. Okay, we read that. When the Civil War commenced, American military personnel who were deleted in battle near Washington, D.C. were buried at the United States Soldiers Cemetery in Washington, D.C., or Alexandria Cemetery in Alexandria, Virginia. By late 1863, however, both cemeteries were nearly full. On May 3, 1861, General Winfield Scott ordered the Brigadier General Ivan McDowell to clear all troops not loyal to the Union from Arlington and neighboring Alexandria. On 7 May 1861, however, the Confederate aligned Virginia militia captured Arlington and Arlington House, with Confederate forces occupying the high ground of Arlington. The neighboring national capital of Washington, D.C. was left vulnerable to the Confederate Army attack. See you tomorrow, Judah. TJ. Tasman said, "Gotcha, that is awesome. Many years ago, stayed Launderdale and rented a car. Can't remember now, but was 30 to 45 min drive. Dang you, sugar mama." Alright. The grounds there alien are manicured to perfection, so touching. I won on one real expensive, and Texas had a seat. All right. And despite not wanting to leave Arlington House, Mary Lee believed her estate would soon be recaptured by Union soldiers. On 14 May, she buried many of her family treasures on grounds and left for her sister's estate at Ravensworth in the present day Fairfax County, Virginia. Some of the personal property she buried included the family portraits. Well, I'll need to be careful about the copyright with the stuff I send you. Okay, Moki, thank you. Thank you. So far, there has not been any issues with copyright, but we will thank you for looking out for that. Despite not wanting to leave Arlington House, Mary Lee believed her estate would soon be recaptured by Union soldiers. On May 14, she was buried many of her family treasures on the grounds, and then for her sister's estate at Ravensworth in present-day Fairfax County, Virginia. Some of the personal property she buried included family portraits that were stolen by the Union soldiers. McDowell occupied Arlington without opposition on 24 May. On 16 July 1862, the U.S. Congress passed legislation authorizing the U.S. federal government to purchase land for the national cemeteries for the purpose of burying the military that were deleted, and placed the U.S. Army Quartermaster General in charge of the program. Beginning in 1863, the federal government used the southern portion of the land now to occupied by the cemetery as settlement for freed slaves, giving the land name Freedmen's Village. The government constructed rental houses that 1,100 to 3,000 freed slaves eventually occupied, with the farming of 1,100 acres of the estate, receiving schooling and occupational training both during the Civil War and after its ending. Moki, that sounds very fun. That sounds very fun. In May 1864, the Union Army suffered large fatalities in the Battle of the Wilderness. Quartermaster General Montgomery C. Megis ordered a review of eligible sites for the establishment of large and new national military cemetery. Within weeks, his staff reported that Arlington Estate was the most suitable property in the area. The property was located at the relatively high evaluation, was typically free from floods capable of unearthing graves, and it was aesthetically pleasing. An additional factor in its selection was likely that it was the residence of Robert E. Lee, a leader of the Confederate States Army, and denying Lee use of his home during the following war that was advantageous to the Union. Friday, I was born on Memorial Day. Oh, really? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. On 13 May 1864, William Henry Chrisman was buried at Arlington Cemetery, close to what is now the Northeast Gate in Section 27. Even though Megis did not formally authorize establishment of the burials until the following month, on June. And also, Moki, I want to wish you a happy birthday. I wish you a happy birthday. And I hope everything goes great, and that may you have many more to come. On May 13, 1864, William Henry Chrisman was buried at Arlington Cemetery, close to what is now the Northeast Gate in Section 27. Even though Megas did not formally authorize establishment of burials until the following month on 15 June 1864, consistent with the practices of many cemeteries in the 19th century, Arlington Cemetery maintained segregated burial practices on 26 July 1948. However, U.S. President Harry S. Truman issued Executive Order 9981, which formally reversed this practice. All right, friends. See you tomorrow. Okay, see you tomorrow, Aaron. Thank you for being here and hitting the like. In 1864, with the Civil War still ongoing, the Union acquired Arlington Cemetery for 26 grand and 800 extra dollars, equivalent of $538,794 in 2024. Yeah, Tasman, you need to bring the fire extinguisher. After the property was placed for a tax sale, Miss Lee did not appear in person for the tax sale, but sent an agent who attempted to pay the 92.07 allegedly owed in property taxes, equivalent to 1,851 in 2024, which had been assessed on the estate. The Union government, however, turned her agent away and refused to accept the tendered payment. The Washington Chronicle described the Freedmen's Village at Arlington in an article published in September 1864 and recorded at the time. The cemetery is described as Freeman's Village at Arlington in an article published in summer 1864, and the cemetery is at present divided into the upper yard and the lower yard. The upper yard contains 1,400 graves. At the lower 1,200, these graves are marked with wooden slabs with expectation of the marble slab in upper one and lower yard. As we pass by it, a cortege of 5 ambulances containing 9 coffins moved by. Some of the coffins were draped with colors. The cemetery is yet to be enclosed with a wooden fence. Moki says, I'll be glorious 53-year-old. Can't believe I made it this far. Scared. And, oh yeah, Smokes, definitely. And I'm glad that you made it this far, too. Scared. Yeah, Moki, I know what Remy says, and she shouldn't say that about you. And I tell, Remy, she's feisty, and I call her my pit bull. She's, but she knows that she gets quite tempered, and she's a work in progress. She has many, many more years to mature and grow. So I understand Moki, and it's wrong. She shouldn't call you that. In 1866, the Old Bell Church, led by Rev. Robert S. Laws, was founded. After Freedmen's Village became part of a military reservation, the government asked the villagers to leave. In 1887, however, some still remained, and John A. Comerford, the superintendent at Arlington National Cemetery, asked the U.S. Army's Quartermaster General to close the village on grounds that people living in it had been taking trees at night from the cemetery for use of firewood. The Quartermaster General and Secretary of War then approved the Comerford's request. The U.S. versus the Lee. You know, because contrary to what y'all think, Remy does have a sweet side. She does. It's hard to believe, but she does. All right. In 1874, George Washington Custis Lee sued the U.S. federal government, claimed ownership of the Arlington Cemetery grounds on 9 December 1882. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled 5-4 in Lee's favor, and the United States versus Lee, concluding that the U.S. government seized Arlington Cemetery and its surrounding grounds without affording Lee due process. Following the U.S. Supreme Court decision, Congress abided by the Supreme Court ruling and returned the estate by Lee by this time. However, Lee was less interested in obtaining the property than in receiving cash compensation for it. On March 3, 1883, Custis Lee sold it back to the U.S. government for $150,000, equivalent to $4 million in 2024, at signing this scared ceremony with then Secretary of War Robert Todd Lincoln, and the land became the U.S. military reservation. Y'all are funny in chat. Hilarious. 20th century, in 1900, the last remaining resident of the village departed after the 56th United States Congress appropriated in 75,000, equivalent to $2 million in 2024, to settle the U.S. government debts to them, with limited space but large numbers of KIAs from World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, along with natural deletions, people that were unalived, from high-ranking military officials. The need for additional burial space at Arlington Cemetery became a challenge and priority to the U.S. government. She spends plenty of money not to have gray hair. Thank you very much. Oh. And yeah, shout out to Blonde Moki. Either way, Moki, be fine with me. I think that you are certainly a lovely person, and either way wouldn't bother me. Always sweet as pie. On 30 May 1929, okay, Moki, understood. On 30 May 1929, U.S. President Herbert Hoover conducted the first National Memorial Day ceremony in Arlington National Cemetery. In October 1991, John C. Mertzler Jr., Arlington Cemetery's superintendent, implemented a $1.4 million plan to clear a former 13-acre parking lot to create additional space that would accommodate approximately 9,000 additional grave sites. Wreaths across America. In 1992, the Worcester Wreath Company in Harrington, Maine, had a surplus at the end of the Christmas holiday season, recalling the boyhood trip to Arlington National Cemetery. Company founder Morrill Worcester donated 5,000 wreaths to the cemetery to honor the cemetery's deleted, with the help of volunteers and local trucking company. In 2005, after 13 years of similar donations, a photo of snowy gravestones covered the wreaths, and the cemetery received widespread circulation on the internet. Thousands of people called Worcester Wreath Company wanting to replicate the wreath laying service at their own veteran cemeteries. In 2014, volunteers were able to place wreaths in the sections of the cemetery for the first time. Alien, that is the home of the tomb of the unknown soldiers as well. Yeah, peace be upon and shout out to all the unknown soldiers. They're beautiful people, and they did the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. I'm going to show you all a picture. All right. Oh, this is very touching. All right, so there you go. That is the beautiful cemetery for all the fallen soldiers. You know, beautiful graves. May they rest in eternal happiness. Amen. Continuing on. On 22 February 1995, officials of the U.S. Department of Interior and the U.S. Department of the Army signed an agreement to transfer from Arlington House the Robert E. Lee Memorial to the U.S. Army. You're welcome, Cecil. It was my pleasure. Signed an agreement to transfer from Arlington House the Robert E. Lee Memorial to the U.S. Army, a part of Arlington Woods, which was located in Section 29 of the National Park Service at Arlington National Cemetery between Arlington House and Fort Myer. The property transfer, which involved 12 acres of NPS land, was intended to permit Metzler to start expanding the cemetery beyond its existing boundaries. In September 1996, Arlington Cemetery received the authority to transfer 12 acres of woodland from the National Park Service controlled Arlington Houses in 2001, 37 acres of land in 1999 from the DoD that was the site of Navy Annex Building, 8 acres of land in 1999 from the Department of the Army that was part of Fort Myer, 4 acres of land from Arlington County's Southgate Road right of way in 2004, just under 10 acres of land from Fort Myer in 2005. Tasman says, haha, wow, hockey game and back and forth, wouldn't mind seeing another game. Same here, Tasman, I enjoyed watching it in such a rough sport. On September 1996, the National Defense Authorization Act, or Physical Year 1997, Public Law of 104 to 201, authorized the Secretary of Interior transfer to the Secretary of the Army all the land in the Section 29 that was within an Arlington National Cemetery interment zone and some of the land in the section that was within Robert E. Lee Memorial Preservation Zone. On 5 March 1998, the National Park Service, a component of the Department of Interior, informed the National Capital Planning Commission that it wanted to transfer only 4 acres to the cemetery rather than the 12 acres that the 1995 agreement had described. In response to Metzler's stated, I was surprised, but we will continue to work with the Department of Interior to see what happens. On 12 July 1999, the National Park Service published a Federal Register notice announcing the availability of the environmental assessment for the transfer. The EA stated that the interment zone contained the oldest and largest tract of climate eastern hardwood forest, Arlington County. This forest was the same type that once covered the Arlington estate and had regenerated from trees that were present historically. A forestry study determined that representative tree was 258 years old. The interment zone was also determined to contain significant archaeological and cultural landscape resources in addition to those preservation zone. The EA described 4 alternative courses of action. In contrast, the National Park Service March 1998 statement to the National Capital Planning Commission, the 1999 environmental assessment stated that the preferred alternative 1, would transfer into the cemetery approximately 9.6 acres, comprising the most interment zone of the northern tip of the preservation zone. Another alternative 3, would transfer the cemetery the 12-acre interment zone while keeping the 12.5 acres preservation zone under NPS jurisdiction. The EA concluded the Public Law 104-201 directed the Secretary of the Interior to transfer the Secretary of the Army jurisdiction over the interment zone, which is the plan, and alternate 3, adaptation of any of the alternatives would require legislative action to amend the existing law. That's pretty cool, guys, in the chat. That, Tasman said he did playing then coaching. It's pretty cool. And then 26 years in KY working downtown and Cincinnati. That's pretty cool. Shout out to y'all, are cool people. All right. In 1998, a congressional proposal to expand the cemetery onto land the Navy annexed the Fort Myer then occupied led to concerns that the Arlington County officials had not been properly consulted, leading to the withdrawal of the proposal. However, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year of 2000, Public Law 106-65, which enacted into law during October 1999, subsequently required the Secretary of Defense to transfer administrative jurisdiction of the 36 acres Navy Annex property to the Secretary of the Army. The act required the Secretary of Defense to demolish the annex's building and prepare the property for use as part of the cemetery, while requiring the Secretary of the Army to incorporate the annex property in the cemetery. '21st century. On 28 December 2001, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2002, Public Law 107-107, repealed the obsolete part of the Public Law in 104-201 that had authorized the transfer of portions of Section 29 to the Secretary of the Army. The new legislation required that the Secretary of Interior to transfer the Secretary of the Army, which within 30 days the approximately 12 acres internment zone. The transfer therefore involved the entire 12 acres of NPS land and 1995 agreement and the alternate 3 of 1999 EA had described. The 2001 legislation required the Secretary of the Army to use the internment zone for in-ground burial sites and columbarium. In addition, the legislation required the Secretary of Interior to manage the remainder of the 29 and perpetually to provide a natural setting and visual buffer for Arlington House, the Robert E. Lee Memorial. Cecil, I would never want to live in DC, but there are so many museums, etc. to see. I would recommend a visit at some point, Alien. You know, my school was supposed to go to DC, but they did the World War II Museum in New Orleans instead. But I will go to DC definitely one day, and I'll look at the museums definitely. Thanks for the suggestion. I'm really interested to go see it. In the 2001 legislation required by the I said that okay. In 2007, Metzler implemented the Millennium Project, a 53 million expansion plan to begin utilizing. Oh, you're welcome, Taz, and it was my pleasure to have you as a guest. And you have a good night. You see you later. In 2007, Metzler implemented the Minimum Project, a 35 million expansion plan to begin utilizing the Arlington Woodland Fort Myer Navy Annex land. The project also included covering 40 acres of the unused space and 4 acres of maintenance property on the cemetery grounds into the burial space in 2006 to 2007 to allow an additional 26,000 graves and 5,000 interments. The Millennium Project expanded the cemetery's physical boundaries for the first time since the 1960s and was the largest expansion of burial space at the site since the U.S. Civil War. Several environmental and historical preservation groups criticized the Metzler's plans, as did the NPS and manager of the Arlington House. (2010) Mismanagement controversy. On 9 June 2010, United States Secretary of the Army of John M. McHugh reprimanded the cemetery's superintendent, John C. Metzler Jr., and his deputy, Thurman Higginbotham, after DOD Inspector General's revealed that cemetery officials had placed the wrong headstones on tombs, buried coffins in shallow graves, and buried bodies on top of another. Metzler, who had already announced his intention to retire, admitted some mistakes had been made but denied allegations of widespread or serious mismanagement. The investigation also found that cemetery employees were burdened in their day-to-day work by dysfunctional management, lack of established policy and procedures, and an overall unhealthy organization climate. Both Metzler and Higginbotham retired soon after the investigation commenced. Oh, hello, Bubbles. He's scared of the weather, but he came out for a second. He's being brave. Yay. In March 2011, as a result of the problems discovered, Catherine Condon, recently appointed executive director of the Army National Military Cemeteries, announced that the cemetery staff had been increased from 102 to 159. She added that the cemetery was also acquiring additional equipment because they didn't have the proper equipment to the job really standard needed to do. All right, Moki. See you tomorrow. All right, have a very good evening. See you tomorrow. Anyway. The mismanagement controversy included a limitation on mass media access funerals, which also provided controversial until 2005. The cemetery administration gave free access with families' permissions to press the cover funerals at the cemetery in July 2008. Washington Post reported that the cemetery had imposed gradually increasing restrictions on media coverage of funerals beginning 3 years earlier in 2005. After the cemetery management controversy began and ended, the Army appointed Patrick K. Helene and the acting superintendent of the cemetery in June 2010. He was promoted permanently to the position in October 2010. Shout out to Cecil. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. In 2010, Haley Neen had previously worked for the Office of Field Programs and National Cemetery Administration, an agency of the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. In the capacity, Hen Inan had oversight of 131 national cemeteries, national cemetery policies, procedures, and operations. Haley Neen was promoted to executive director of the Army National Military Cemeteries upon the retirement of Catherine Condon in spring 2014. Alright, that is an image of it. And here's another image. Oh, hello, Zero. Thank you for the emails about the sun. I read your emails about the sun. Of the solar flare outburst that's happening. I looked at the videos and thank you very much. I appreciate you, buddy. Alright. Zero, I hope you're having a good evening. And thank you for being here. You're right on, Zero. A nice gentleman. All right. We're talking about the Arlington National Cemetery for a little while. Then we're going to get into Hell's Gate, and then we'll be over with. In March 2011, as a result of the problems discovered at Catherine Condon, the recently appointed executive director of the Army National Military Cemeteries announced that the cemetery staff had been increased from 102 to 159. She added that the cemetery was also acquired additional equipment because they didn't have the proper equipment to do the job really well and standard they didn't need to do. All right, thank you, Zero. Thank you, Zero. Hello, Cherry. Shout to you. All right. All right. All right, Zero. Understood. Thank you, buddy. The mismanagement. Okay, I read that. After the cemetery's management controversy began to end, and the army appointed Patrick K. Hellenine, the acting super alien. And guys, time for me to head to sleep. Take care and see you later. Okay, Cecil. See you tomorrow. All right. After the cemetery's management controversy began to end, the Army appointed Patrick K. Hellenine, the acting superintendent of the cemetery, in June 2010. He was promoted permanently to the position in October 2010. Hellenine previously worked for the Office of Field Programs in the National Cemetery Administration, an agency of the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. In the capacity of Hellenine, had oversight of 131 national cemeteries, policy, procedures, and operations. Hellenine was promoted executive director of the National Military Cemeteries upon retirement of Catherine Condone in spring of 2014. In May 2014, Hellenine stepped down and was replaced by Jack E. Lechner Jr. was superintendent of the cemetery. Lechner had been a funeral director for 10 years in the private sector before joining the U.S. Army. He rose to the rank of colonel and retired in November 2000. Pardon? Colonel, thank you. 2011, after having sent 2008 to 2010 as chief of the supply division of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, overseeing the equipping security forces in Iraq and Afghanistan. Since 2010, he served as the executive officer and deputy superintendent of the cemetery under the Hellenine. Scared. In September 2008, environmentalists expressed, "Oh, Liberty, it's a pleasure to have you with us. In a moment, we'll be talking about Hell's Gate for a little bit. Right now, we're talking about Arlington Cemetery." In September 2008, environmentalists expressed concerns that the agreement would result in the partial destruction of a 24-acre remnant of the historically important standard native trees, a historical marker near the woodland. Notes that while visiting Arlington House in 1825, Marquis de Lafitte, the French volunteer of the Continental Army, who ultimately became one of George Washington's long-standing friends, warned Mary Lee Fitzhugh Custis, wife, George Washington's Parky, cherish these forests, trees around your mansion. Recollect how much easier it is to cut a tree than to make one grow. The marker notes that Virginia Native Plant Society recognizes the woodland as being one of the best examples of old-growth, terraced, gravel forest remaining in Virginia. On 12 December 2012, the United States Army Corps of Engineers asked for comments on a draft environmental assessment that described a further expansion of Arlington National Cemetery as part of the Millennium Project. Alright, now let's get into Hell's Gate in the Possum Kingdom. Wikipedia. Possum Kingdom Lake. Possum Kingdom Lake is a reservoir on the Brazos River located primarily in. Oh, you're welcome, Liberty. I really thought it was very cool, and I want to share it with everybody. Primarily in Pablo Pinto County, Texas. It was the first water supply reservoir constructed in the Brazos River Basin. The lake has an area of approximately 17,000 acres. With 310 miles off shoreline, it holds 750,000 acre feet of water with 550,000 acres available water supply. Michelle Gibson has some ideas on that area. Interesting. I'd like to know about that. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us, Liberty. Thank you. The lake is impounded by the Morris Shepherd Dam, which was a project of the Brazos River Authority and Works Progress Administration. Construction was begun in 1936 and completed in 1941. The dam, 2,700 feet long, 190 feet. The construction is unique with buttressed arched wings on the either side of the 9 spillway gates rather than the usual field concert. It has two 11,250 kilowatt generators which were used during the peak demand periods that are no longer in use. It was named after United States Senator Morris Shepherd for his efforts in obtaining funding for the project. The lake is located where the Brazos River cuts through the Paleo Pinto Hills. The canyon thus formed provided a favorable site for impoundment of the reservoir. The accounts of the unusual depth of the lake and the resulting clarity of the water. There are several stories about the origin name of Possum Kingdom for part of Brazos River Valley. Most accepted version attributes the name to of Schlablowski, who settled in the region in the early 20th century. Schlablowski was a businessman, a Russian Jewish immigrant who came to America at the age of 13. He arrived in Mineral Wells, Texas from Indianapolis in 1905. Schlablowski was suffering from stomach trouble and believed he was being deleted. Mineral Wells was nationally famous for a health spa, and Schlablowski offered employee one of the spa hotels 10 cents a day for the 10 days to be allowed to drink for the mineral water he wanted. The employee accepted, and Schlablowski claimed that within 10 days his stomach problems were cured. Scared. Schlablowski then went into the fur hide business, dealing with, among other things, with different pelts of certain animals. His best suppliers and hunted in the canyon, Brazos. Schlablowski began greeting them by saying, "Oh, hello, Danielle. Good to see you. Here's the boys from Possum Kingdom." Schlablowski went to be prominent businessman in Dallas before his deletion, and he left millions of dollars to charity. Well, shout out to him. Good man. And Liberty said, people there say they are giant catfish in a lake big enough to swallow small people, FYI. Yeah, we looked at some pictures of those. They are very big. Well, it's Danielle. I'm delighted to see you here. Welcome to chat. The lake is home to Possum Kingdom State Park, a 1,530-acre state park governed by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Visitors, avid bolsters, and anglers interested in exploring the lake can also utilize local marines such as Bluff Creek Marina. Possum Kingdom Lake area suffered major wildfires in 2011 during the several droughts. First April with 160 homes destroyed, and again in August, September with 39 homes and 9 recreational vehicles lost. The cause of the second 2011 fire was the electrical spark at the 101 Ranch. The first week of August 2012 brought more wildfires to the PK vicinity between the dam and Gray Ford, which were possibly ignited by lightning strikes amid the extremely drought-ridden countryside. Texas Governor Perry authorized the Texas military forces to assist in battling them. Several Chinook helicopters were assigned to Pablo Pinto County efforts. The fires were brought under the control over a period of days and nights. Danielle, earlier, so the new internet was connected, and it's a much faster speed than the other one. And it looks totally different. It looks like something from Star Wars, or something from space too. And it took about an hour or two for this internet, the Wi-Fi extenders to connect with each other, and they were the lights are flashing, so the two different objects were communicating. They were communicating. Eventually, we got. I didn't think it was going to come on. I thought we were going to have to call Cox tomorrow, but not true. We did well. The lake was originally at the level of Cliffs Resort, which caused the massive C-shaped bridges in the side walls of the shore. All right, so I'm going to show some pictures of this right now. Nomad, it's great to see you. Welcome. Hello. I meant to go live earlier, but we had to. The internet was taking its time to connect. Well, Danielle, it was not the internet. It was a new internet. It was a new internet being set up. The other internet is not there anymore. So we had to set up a new internet connection because we got a new one to go faster. It wasn't an internet problem. It was an internet. A new internet was being set up. That's why we're not buffering right now. So, but I understand. It was the internet, but not in the same way as usual. All right, so let's look at some pictures. All right, here's some pictures of it right here. It's beautiful. The undulating waters that shine like fresh silver, and the hills all over Texas. That's what they look like. It looks like a bunch of silver particles, because back in the Old West they were, and out further in like Nevada too, they had the silver they would see in the mountains, and it would be there, and it would look like mirrors. So that's what it looks like, sparkling silver. And then you have, nice mountains, and the waterway is very nice. And in text, it's showing you where it is, but it doesn't show it right here. But it's like the northeast part of Texas, kind of like more closer to the center. All right, there's the dam right there. Scared. Very cool to see that flowing. And then you have this area right here. You have the entrance, Hell's Gate, and you have all that nice water. Liberty says, I camped out there once, and the stars are beautiful, all of the falling stars. Liberty, that is a beautiful sight that you saw, and I think that it's a magical experience, and it's so cool to like think about the original people that were coming here. They must have been very stargazed at the same time it was a dangerous, adventurous terrain. So yeah, very cool. Okay, I think that is all the pictures. Okay. Alrighty. Alright, Possum Kingdom Lake. You're going to go here and do this. Let's show some more of it. I got some parts right here and kind of like look at some pictures of it. Alright, so look at that. You got some. It's so cool from this angle. It reminds me of Australia. Looks kind of like that a little bit. And water looks nice and green. It's really, really enchanting. So yeah, it looks like a very nice place to camp and have a good time. And then you have that right there. It's, it looks like a big thumb. Because I know from like I like the name Possum Kingdom. It's something that they probably would name like from Holes, that movie. It sounds like something from that movie. Although it didn't have a lake, it had a dried up lake. So that is very cool. Yeah, and then some YouTubers explaining that that's the gate that you entered into. In this picture, it shows the water right there. It looks like emeralds. It looks like an emerald. Yeah, that is certainly looks like another planet. Definitely. So that, that's why it's great that God created all this beautiful earth and all the things in it. And I think that it is great to see these things if possible, or at least we could, talk about it. And Possum Kingdom Lake, let's see catfish. I'm scared. Yeah, that's Texas. And allegedly this is caught in Possum Lake. It is a fish that's the size of a Beetle car. A Volkswagen Beetle. Yeah, that's in Texas, Nomad. That's true. All that's in Texas. And you have this allegedly, which I don't know if it's real or not, but you have that one there. They look huge. Yeah, that looks real. That looks huge. Oh, thank you, G. You came to listen to the host with the most. Thank you. Yeah. So, good evening to you, G. We are well, G. We're having a good time. And also, yeah, this is a Possum Lake. And I'm going to read it a part of this another time for the people that are just kind of coming in. Alright, so this is kind of like you can see the map and stuff better. Don't be a noodle for these. LOL. Possum Kingdom Lake. So Possum Kingdom Lake is a reservoir on the Brazos River located primarily in Pablo Pinto County, Texas. It was the first water supply reservoir constructed in the Brazos River Basin. The lake has an area of approximately 17,000 acres with 310 miles of shoreline. It holds 750,000 acres and feet of water, 550,000 acres available for water supply. Yes, we're discussing lakes, yes. The lake is impounded by the Morris Shepherd Dam, which was a project by Brazos River Authority and the Work Progress Administration. Construction was begun in 1936 and completed in 1941. Yeah, the name, yeah. I think the name kind of sounds like a. In some ways, it sounds like some sort of an adventure to me. But Possum Kingdom Lake, but Hell's Gate, I could be kind of controversial to some. The construction of the unique with buttressed arched wings on either side of the nine spillway gates, rather than the usual filled concrete. It has two 11,250 kilowatt generators, which are used during the peak demand periods that are no longer in use. It was named after United States Senator Morris Shepherd for his effort in obtaining funding for the project. Yeah, any names? I'd be interested to know what y'all would want to name it. The lake is located. Yeah, they call it Hell's Gate. Yes. Oh, you don't like possums or raccoons? And oh, hello, Miranda. It's great to see you, friend. And yeah, so possum. I don't mind possums. Uh my mom feeds possums, and yeah, I think they're very cute too. I can understand some people might not be. They might kind of resemble rats, but they're great for the environment. And yeah, I love possums. And oh, the 14 likes, so I'm getting famous. I appreciate y'all very much. Kingdom Lake is good enough, but yeah, but I think that it does sound like either way. It sounds like a great adventure. Liberty said Giant Catfish Kingdom. Yeah, that's another good one. Another good one. All right, here we go. The lake is located where the Brazos River cuts through the Pablo Pinto Hills. The canyon thus formed provided a favorable site for impugnment of the reservoir and accounts of unusual depth of the lake and resulting in clarity of water. Yes, gee, they are great for environment, and that's why you should start liking them. Yes, they're cute little babies. Also, I fed one last night. Ski. That's true. That's true. Much more than ever I ever anything more than I could do, and she does very well with them, and also the cats. There are several stories about the origin of the name Possum Kingdom for this part of the Brazos River Valley. The most accepted version attributes the name to like Shabowski, who settled in the region in early 20th century. Shabowski was a businessman of Russian Jewish immigrant who came to America at the age of 13. He arrived in Mineral Wells, Texas from Indianapolis in 1905. Shabowski was suffering from stomach trouble and believed that he was being deleted. Mineral Wells was nationally famous as health spa, and Shabowski offered an employee of the one spa hotels 10 cents a day for 10 days to be allowed to drink all the mineral water he wanted. The employee accepted, and claimed that within 10 days his stomach problems were cured. Oh, that's cute. That's cute, Liberty. Your cat has raccoon eyes, Danielle. Oh, that's cute. The lake is home to the famous Hell's Gates, a sheer break of the cliffs. And we'll look up what that is. The Hell's Gates. That's just a picture of it. Scared. A sheer break in the cliffs around the lake. Lakes named the little popular 1990 song Possum Kingdom by the Toadies. Mineral Wells sells crazy water and has haunted Baker Hotel. Mineral Wells sells crazy water and has haunted Baker hotels. Their eyes are cute and rather cool. Yeah, that is true. That is true. The lake is home to Possum Kingdom State Park, a 1,530 acre state park governed by the Texas Park and Department. Wildlife Department. Visitors, avid boosters, and anglers to interest in exploring the lake and also utilize local marinas such as Bluff and Mar Marinia. The Possum Kingdom Lake area suffered major wildfires in 2011 during a severe drought, first April with 160 homes destroyed, and again in August, September with 39 homes and 9 recreational vehicles lost. The cause of the second 2011 fire was electrical spark of the 101 ranch. The first week of August 2012 brought more wildfires to PK vicinity between the Diem and the Gray Ford, which were possibly ignited by lightning strikes amid extremely drought-ridden countryside. The Texas Governor Perry authorized the Texas military forces to assist in battling them. Several Chinook helicopters were assigned to the Pablo Pinto County efforts. The fires were brought under control over a period of days and nights. The lake was originally at the level of the cliffs resort, which caused the massive C-shaped ridges in the side walls of the shore. Crazy water is branded with lithium in the water. Ah, okay, thank you. Alright, so this is the catfish. I think people could see what I'm talking about. They can. Yeah, it's a catfish, very big. And alright, so then we're going to go back to the other one where it was showing the beautiful. There we this way. Look at the water. The water is very enchanting, and that's in Texas. I'm sure there's a lot of yellow roses in that area. Is very nice, and the nice as emerald water. And as I said, it looks like something from another planet or something you'd think you'd see in the Mediterranean, but it's right here in the United States in Texas. And I remember G and I were talking about the different places in Europe and in the Mediterranean. So that was really nice. And this is some place in the United States in Texas that can easily pass for something like that. Absolutely, it's very pretty, very pretty. And Liberty did camping there, and she saw all the stars and shooting stars. It was very nice. Yes, and see that you have that area, and that's another image of the gate. This is kind of like more up close. Those are Hell's Gates right there, and this looks like a thumb. This one, this one looks like Australia, but it's just Possum Kingdom. It's very beautiful. Crazy water sold in healthy grocery stores like Central Market, Whole Foods, Sprouts, etc. Thank you for telling me about that. I've never heard of crazy water. That's good to know about. All right. And we're gonna look up camping. Let's see people. Look at people camping there. All right. You got some kind of campground. I was in Mississippi during Hurricane Katrina, and I remember the campgrounds in Mississippi. I enjoyed it very much, and we used to rent movies from the people, and it was a camping ground. It wasn't like a trailer park because I got confused when people talk about like when Eminem would talk about the trailer park. He's a cool rapper, shout out to him. But basically, the campground is something kind of different. So it was a campground, and there's trailers there, and I remember the Pearl River, and my grandpa told me if I ever was gonna go in there, it'd be kind of difficult, but to go with the flow of the stream, go with the flow with it. Don't fight it. Don't fight the current. But I never went in there, so to find out. And yeah, so I've been to camping grounds before. It's very nice. The smell of a campfire is something that is just unforgettable. Yeah, so that's very cool, Liberty. That's a tent that someone had there. It's very cool, and you have this a very beautiful blue skies. I enjoy that. I like that, and you have that, and Pearl River, Mississippi. I have to show that Pearl River, Mississippi. As if we're gonna see it. All right. This is the Pearl River. That's what it looks like It's more of a swampy area, and you didn't want to camp around any place with beans, though. I don't. Oh, and why is that? Yeah, this was the Pearl River, and it was. We went fishing in the Pearl River, and the fish are too smart. They go and just eat up the bait, and they just go. They're very smart fish. And one time there was this kind of mountain cliff thing. I didn't go look to find out if it had alligators in it, but I would assume it does. I would assume so. It's kind of farther up north. It's not Louisiana. It's in Mississippi. I don't know. I would think so though. And the kids and I, well, I was a kid too. We used to climb up this cliff and we'd go into this cave and we'd hang out in there. You'll do glamping. Oh, oh bears. Oh, I'm thinking about beans. I'm like, did the beans try to go and tell you? Did they try to steal your stuff or something? Like, did all the beans get together and they're going to try to like cause you to trip? Like, there's beans of beans. You could get beans in the grocery store and just throw them around the yard, and after it rains, it'll all sprout out. You know, a teacher taught me that when I was growing up, and you see, is it the beans going to just tie your legs and cause you to fall? The beans with attitude, beanitude. Yeah, the surviving the killer beans. Yeah, bears. Yeah, bears are scary. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be around bears either. And there's remember with camping, there's sometimes people that try to stalk people and rob them and stuff. So you gotta watch out for humans too. The most terrifying animal of all. Remember the killer tomatoes? Oh yeah, those are the worst. Yeah, scared. All right, and then you got this another image of the Pearl River. Anna said phones back, but don't know how long. What a pain. Yeah, so that's another image of the Pearl River. And yeah, I was like, you see that area where it's all green? Like, that's where we would be, inside the greenery. And the sun did come through, but it was a forest. And, oh, there was. My family doesn't hunt. Neither did I. Neither do I. If people do that, that's their business. I'm not, making a judgment on it. But there is. I love something about the Walmarts. I love Walmarts in Mississippi. Oh, they're very nice. And I loved how they had such a wide selection of Mossy Oaks camo gear. They had so much camo gear. I loved wearing camo gear. I have a mind changer for protection. Do you know what that is? I'm, I can kind of guess what it is. I think I know what you're talking about, Liberty. And there's some certain things that it will change someone's mind very quickly. And yeah, so that's the Pearl River. Shout out the Pearl River. And let's see, alligators. It goes boom boom. Yeah, I know what it goes. It goes boom boom. It goes pew pew. Yeah, like that. Yeah, because it's like Liberty. There is these instances of people camping, and somebody's lurking around the tent, and this other incident where people camp in their cars, and somebody was trying to break the window or trying to knock on it, and yeah, but you would have a mind changer on you. Liberty said, "I visited Cato Lake recently. Very cool." Ah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, so they do have alligators along the Pearl River. I just didn't see any where I was. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's like where I am. Not where I am, okay, but like in my state, they have places like that. I've been on a steamboat before. Steamboats are cool. Oh yeah, it's very nice. I love cypress trees. Oh, in my yard, there's one of those types of cypress trees. It was a giant a trunk of a cypress tree that rotted out, and it looks just like one of those trees. So my area where I am used to look like that at one time, but they drained it out. They drained out my area a long time ago, and they filled it in with a bunch of like shells and coffee grinds and stuff, and to make it into like a place where you could build houses. But yeah, then my grandpa one day knocked the little stump down, but it was okay because I harvested the wood from it, the cypress wood, and I still have it, and you know it's beautiful cypress wood. Cypress wood, hey, cypress wood is resistant to rotting out. So the cool thing about cypress wood is that that's what this is a little bit controversial. Everybody, this is just historical stuff. So bear with me a moment, just historical stuff. They like plantation houses and houses in the past, a long time ago. They used to have cypress wood. They used to build them with to resist the moisture. And it wasn't just plantation houses. It was also any house or any kind of structure. They had cypress wood in it. It's a Texas Louisiana border. Oh, okay. Oh, that's so wrong to fill it in. Yeah, yeah, and you see Liberty when it rains, to fill it in. Yeah, hilarious Liberty. But in all seriousness, when it rains, it gets like that again. It gets swampy and like marshy. It gets flooded. And it says Liberty. I remember the movie the Deleter Potatoes. Adam's Family guy Gomez was in it. I love that movie. Oh. Hilarious, hilarious. Oh, say it's a oh my goodness! I gotta show you all this. What? What? Oh, come on. All right. Wow. Well, look, look. Oh my goodness! It reminds me of the Venus flytrap monsters from that play. Oh, oh Lord, I love that stuff. Yeah, scared. Yeah, it's very. That's very interesting. I'd certainly go watch that. Scared. All right. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, on the next one, we will look at Cato Lake, and we'll look at the other one, Pearl River. Sharknado. Oh, good lord. Sharknado. Scared. Oh my goodness. A tornado with sharks. Oh my goodness. Scared. Oh my. This is like somebody took some mushrooms, and they started seeing Timu sharks. Lord, scared. All right. Oh, there's another haunted place called Cato Jefferson. All right. Cato Jefferson. Ah, nice. Nice. Scared. Yeah, I see that. Oh, certainly we'll look into that too. All right. I'll look at the swamps. I bet when I was on a kid on a steamboat, I was aggravated by the giant booming horn, but I was like, okay, but I was like, ah, that's a little cringe. But anyway, I enjoyed going the steamboat. Oh, okay. Jefferson, Texas. Haunted. It's got a haunted place. Ah, okay. Thank you. Haunted places. I'm about to end it in a moment. All right. The Groove. All right. Oh, okay. Scared. Alien. They usually run Sharknado movies on Sci-Fi Channel during the Shark Week. Oh, okay. Thank you for letting us know. Scared. Scared. Well, it's time. This is what Danielle says. Well, it's time for this old girl to go to bed. Good night, Alien Hun, and all enjoy chat. Okay. Danielle, well, thank you for being here, and thank you. Have a very good evening. The Groove. The Groove is also known as located in Jefferson, Texas, and in Louisiana there's something called Jefferson Parish. So this is Jefferson, Texas. The Grove, located in Jefferson, Texas, is an 1861 historic home that is listed on the National Register for historic places and recorded Texas historic landmark. The house has also been called the most haunted place in Texas. Scared. It's reminding me of some scary movies right now. The Grove's history dates back to 19th century when the property was purchased and the house that became known as the Groove was built. The Groove had been featured in the television series If Walls Could Talk on the cable channel HGTV and was chosen as one of the top 12 most haunted houses in America by This Old House, and the Groove also is named one of the 8 scariest places in Texas by Texas Monthly magazine. All right. And I was on a steamboat in Fort Lauderdale. They take you to this secluded place in the woods and have barbecue dinner and a show. Well, that sounds very fun. That's very fun. All right, Nomad. Good night to you. All right. The Grove was also named as one of the 8 scariest places in Texas by Texas Monthly magazine. The house was shown in Williams Shatner's Weird or What in 2012. I remember 2012. I graduated 8th grade. Additionally, The Grove was featured on Penn and Teller Bullshit Texas Highways. Magazine has featured The Groove several times, including the articles Haunted Places in Texas. From October 1997 and Haunted Jefferson, October 2008. One more paragraph and then we'll be finished. The structure exhibits many of the external features of a Greek revival home, but close inspection reveals influence from the Creole architecture as well. I think it looks Creole looking. The Groove is the one-story building constructed of wood. The beams and studs are cypress, covered with wooden lap siding. The house was built in 1861, and the bending of the architectural styles, Greek Revival, French Creole, the usual melding of these styles presumably comes from the fact that many historic homes in the surrounding neighborhood were built in the Greek Revival style at the time, since the original owner, Frank Stelly, was from Louisiana. He entered French Creole architectural influence in design because of the city's Jefferson ties, riverboat trade with Louisiana during the 1800s. It stands as a unique example of the region's past. You'd like to know about the ghost stories. Scared. Alright, let's see. Let's see. The Groove Ghost Story. The Groove Ghost Story. Okay. Here you go, Liberty. A ghostly woman has been reported many times being around the Groove. She was spotted in the house by Hopkins Wright before he was opening up the restaurant. The woman has also been reported by a neighbor and her sister who saw a glowing white figure on the porch. All right. Okay. There's a whole section about the ghost. Oh, there you go. All right, another little part, and then that'll be it. Okay. The Grove has vibrant history of unexplained happenings, voices, sounds, and footsteps, moving objects, and other ghostly phenomena. These stories indicate that the Grove is the most haunted building in Jefferson and perhaps the most haunted site in Texas. According to Hopkins, the previous owner who turned the Grove into a restaurant, many gee, many mysterious events occurred while he was at the house. These events included mirrors falling off the walls, loud wails heard coming from the upstairs, unexplained moisture and spots around the house, and the constant feeling of being watched. The legend has it the property lies in an area where several murders occurred, and several unmarked graves reportedly lie under or near the house. Hopkins' niece and her friends recall seeing a black man lying in the street, as they say, went to see if he needed help. The man supposedly disappeared. This black man could be one of the men in the Shockade case, or another man who was rumored to have been hanged on the back porch of the house. Scared. And oh, scared. Spelled this way for the ghosts at night before bed. Oh yeah, exactly, G. Exactly, G. I wrote a sentence that makes no sense with no pronunciations. I imagine the Antimillville house in New York. That's very famous. All right, so we will certainly go and look that. Let's see, did I copy anything? Oh yeah, okay. So we're gonna do that kind of, put that there, and then we're going to put this thing here so I can remember to look at. And then the page moves up, so when I'm trying to highlight something, it doesn't do it. So I do that, and then I do this, and then we go here and put a comma, so I can remember this after it ends, and we go there, and then there we are. I'd be scared to go there to that house. Oh yeah, okay. That's a movie. Oh, okay. Now the final part about the ghosts. So, a ghostly woman has been reported many times being around the Grove. She was spotted in the house by Hopkins right before he was opening the restaurant. The woman has also been reported by a neighbor and her sister who saw a glowing white figure on the porch. This woman has been said to be original owner, Minerva Fox Stilly. She has often been seen walking beside the house and then stepping up through a wall at the house. On inside, she emerges from the wall and then walks across the width of the house in a strange path that makes more sense when one considers that the wall she steps up through was once the back porch house before 1870 addition was made. Instead of stepping up through a wall, she instead was probably stepping up on the back porch, coming through a door that was in the back house, and was walking across to what had been the child's bedroom. It's sold. Someone lives there now. OMG, this is some scary stuff. Scared. Yeah, and NTville horror. Oh yeah. So this is some of the scary stuff, and we will look. And tomorrow we will look at, with a G here when she comes. We will look at the one in New York that she mentioned. All right, we'll look at that one next time. You know what? A smart thing you'll do would be to copy this completely, and so you could just do that instead. It's more logical. I'm talking to myself, and then wonder if Amity House was only messes with certain people. Yeah, that's something that we don't quite know, and it'll be interesting to know. Yeah. So we'll find that out tomorrow. All right, everybody. So we're going to switch over back to where Alien Spaceship is, and all right, everybody. So we had a we had a very good stream, and I was on a little bit later because I was getting a new internet modem so we could have better internet. You notice how we did not buffer at all because we got upgraded to a faster speed, so we don't have problems. So it took about an hour or two for the extenders to agree and connect with each other. So we had smooth sailing this time. So everybody, I want to thank all of you for watching, and we'll be talking about the New York thing tomorrow. And Liberty says Beaker Hotel Mineral Wells haunted near Possum Kingdom. Okay, thank you, Liberty. I'll save that too. And we're going to do that and put this here and copy, and so we can look at that after it ends. Okay, and I missed it, and I was seeing so many other things on this Chrisley release thing. Thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome, G. My pleasure to serve all of you, and have a good evening. See some of y'all tomorrow at the different streams and over here as well. Obviously, I'm no longer a KR trial. Hope it went well. LOL. I went there for a second, but I mostly stayed in the other chat, but I watched both. Then I had to leave because the internet was being reset. No clue about the stabbing either. Yeah, the stabbing, that trial to me, I think is, in my opinion, kind of boring. It's like, or something about it is just not, it doesn't, like, do anything. Most of us that saw it didn't really absorb anything, but it's still an interesting trial to look at, but I don't look at it either. All right. So good night, everybody. Take care, and let's see. We'll have to see if it actually shows the balloons. All right, and peace.